Hi everybody, I promise this is the last of the videos that I'm making for this series. I'm here at the John Deere exhibit, and that's not really tongue twister, but I'm having some, I've been doing this for a while. In any event, I'm here with Corey and Emily, and they're going to talk a little bit about this particular machine, what it is, what it does, and how it might promote a level of sustainability with respect to the application of herbicides that used to be sort of applied very holistically on the field, but today it's done a lot differently. So Corey, can you tell me a little bit about this machine right here?
Absolutely. So my name is Corey Young. I actually work for the tactical marketing section. So basically what that means is we help take the designs that the engineers make, right, and tell the farmers about them, right? So we're basically helping to bring this to market, right, so farmers know about it, know about the benefits that this machine has to offer. As you alluded to, this is our See & Spray Ultimate machine. So this is the next evolution of our precision spraying journey. So we started that back several years ago when we acquired Blue River Technology, right? And then last year we actually released what we call See & Spray Select. So that was our first entry into that market as an integrated factory solution. What See & Spray Select allowed us to do is what we call fallow ground targeted herbicide application. So fallow ground is ground that's not planted with anything, so it's just essentially brown dirt. So that machine used color differentiation technology to essentially identify green on brown. So we call it a green on brown solution. So anything that wasn't dirt, it was going to spray with herbicide. So with that iteration of the technology, we were seeing about a 77% reduction in herbicide application, which is fantastic. So a lot of benefits to that. Number one, obviously you're saving the farmer a lot of money, right? Because they're not using chemical that they would otherwise have to use and pay for, right? But you're also not putting that chemical out on the ground, right? So huge sustainability win there for us. What we've released this year with the Ultimate, See & Spray Ultimate package, right, is what we call in-season targeted herbicide application. So different set of technology that Blue River pioneered and brought to us, but that actually uses machine learning algorithms to visually detect the type of crop that's in the field, right, and then spray only those weeds that aren't that crop. So with this technology in our early testing, we're seeing more than 2/3 savings in that herbicide. So again, huge cost benefit to the farmer and the grower, right? But again, from the sustainability side, right, that's that much herbicide that we're not putting out there, right? We're able to target it to go exactly where it needs to go.
Sure, and I guess if we're looking at this part of the sprayer, where my students have no idea what this arm is, where does the spray come out of?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. So this is what we refer to as the boom, right? So you're going to have one on each side. Booms come in many, many different sizes based off the manufacturer. This one is 120 foot, right? So 120 foot wide, right? So you got to be very careful when you're operating that machine, right? Farmers love to find telephone poles, trees, fence posts, but this one in particular is actually new proprietary design to this machine. So this is using a composite carbon fiber, right? So it's not steel, it's not a metal, it's a carbon fiber, right? A little bit more durable, more rigid, and also lighter, right? So lighter boom, obviously the less material, the less the machine weighs, right? The less gas you need to propel it through the field, right? And the less compaction you're gonna have, right? So compaction, literally just like mud, right, or dirt, if you step in it, it compacts down, right? It's not good for the crop generally, right? You want it to have enough room to grow, right? So several different benefits there, but back to your point, right? How do we get that solution, right? With that chemical, that herbicide, from the tank to the boom.
Right.
If you walk over here, you're going to see there is a whole slew of different valves, nozzles, tubes, plumbing. But essentially what you have is, this is your main fill nozzle, right? So you're going to fill your tanks with water from here, right? Once you have your tank filled, you're going to put your chemical in here, right? And there's a plumbing mechanism to then suck that chemical in, and it'll get mixed in the tank, right?
And is that all the chemical you would need for how many acres? I mean, it doesn't look like you put a lot of chemical in it.
It's not a lot, right? Because it's concentrated. So just similar if you've ever made like, concentrated orange juice. You take, one of those little things and put it with like 2 gallons of water. So kind of a similar thing. So it's not a lot of chemical, but it gets mixed in thoroughly, right? So you have an even mixture in the tank. From there, you can see there's a whole series of valves and nozzles. But that's going to push that product all the way out through these booms, right? All 120 foot. Primarily through these stainless steel lines up here, right? So that's where your product's gonna sit, and then this is your actual nozzle body, right? So here you have two active nozzles, so we call them an A nozzle and a B nozzle, right? And then you have other different nozzles. So a common question would be, why do I need so many different nozzles? It's literally just going to depend on what work you're trying to do. So what chemical are you spraying, right? What does that chemical manufacturer recommend, right? So things like rate, droplet size, right? How big you want the individual droplets to be, right? That's all can be affected by the type of nozzle you have. So there's a whole kind of sub-discipline in science that goes into the work you're trying to do and the nozzle you need to do it with the chemical that you're trying to put out on that weed. So a lot of different options there. What else is really unique from a science perspective with these nozzles is they're actually controlled by pulse width modulation. So if you look close on the top, there's actually two solenoid bodies. So you have one solenoid body up here, it might be a little hard to see, and then the other one over here, right? And each one of those solenoids is going to control that nozzle, and it's kind of like if you've ever stood at your bathroom sink and just turned it on and off real quick. That's what those solenoids are doing, right? They're closing and opening that poppet valve in there, like up to, so each one is 15 times a second. So combined, you have 30, basically 30 pulse width modulations or 30 hertz of on and off duty cycles, right? And what that allows you to do is just maintain a consistent pressure and a consistent rate, which is going to help with that droplet size.
It's like 30 sprays. Is that,
essentially,
yeah.
yep. It's like 30 little mini micro sprays, so kind of like similar to a window or a Windex bottle, right? So.
Wow. So, and my last question is, like, how do what's your background? How did you get into something like this?
Actually, Kamala, you start.
Yeah, so I am working with Blue River, and we're the ones that are doing sort of the computer vision, machine learning, AI technology on this machine. And I actually started as a biology major, and
like me.
Yep. Worked in molecular genetics for a bit, and then I decided I wanted to work in environmental sustainability. So I went back to grad school, and my grad program was in renewable energy and atmospheric science, and I worked in renewables for a bit, and then decided to kind of expand my search to include other different fields in the sustainability space. And so that's how I ended up here, and I'm a product manager. So what I do is I spend a lot of time talking to our customers, understanding what pain points they have, what problems they're running into in the field, how can we help solve those, and then working with our really, really smart engineers who are the ones that built this technology to be able to see weeds and identify them and spray them, working with them to kind of build that implementation of our customers, whatever solution is going to solve their problems.
Interesting.
Yep.
And Corey, what's your background?
So Emily's background is actually much more impressive than mine. I'm actually not nearly as smart as she is. I went to school initially for marketing, so basically international business and marketing. I actually ended up in the Army for several years, so doing some different things there. Gravitated towards messaging out. So if anyone's familiar with leaflets and loudspeaker type thing, right? So that's what I did in the Army for several years. Pivoted out of that, went back to school again to get my business degree in marketing, and then ended up working at John Deere. Just primarily, again, just trying to tell people about our products, right? Let customers know the great benefits, right, that we have to offer them.
I think all students know John. No one knows anything else. I mean, they definitely are pretty ubiquitous. Well, thank you so much. That was really,
absolutely.
really interesting. And everybody, I promise this is the last video. I really do promise.